Welcome to Pack Talk Podcast, episode 117. Today, me and Ben are going to be discussing dogs and kids. We've done an episode many years ago about this topic, but it's time for a revision, time for new information, new protocols to be discussed. As with anything, especially in the dog training world, things are adapting, things are adjusting as time goes on. Our protocols are changing. We learn new things, we adapt, we change, we adjust protocols. We're good to go. Not a factor.
Yep.
Right? So today we're going to be talking about, first of all, understanding your dog. What kind of dog do you have? What are some of the things going on with your dog? After that, we're going to discuss considerations with kids in particular. Then we're going to discuss preparing your dog for a baby coming home, if you're going to have a newborn baby. And then we're going to talk about bringing the baby home, what to do as your kids get older, some special considerations for that, special case dogs that might have some limitations. That could be a genetic limitation, it could be a personality limitation in regards to kids, and we'll wrap it up from there. So those are our big discussion points today, so stick around if you want to hear us talk about all this, or you can go to the show notes and click on the specific topic that you want to hear. But jumping right into it, just me, my personal experience. I have two kids. One is now 7, one is 5. So I've been through, raising them up to this point. I've been through bringing kids home. I've been through preparing dogs for kids. I have 3 dogs myself. 2 Doberman Pinschers, and then 1 Mutt. And one of my Dobermans does have some personality limitations, is like how I like to describe it that way for most people, because that helps understand the dog. But he's the kind of dog that doesn't like a lot of people touching him. He's very good with me touching him. He didn't used to be that way. Obviously, I had to rehabilitate some things with him in order for that to happen, which we talk about on other podcast episodes. But he's good to go with a number of people touching him, petting him. Ben, he loves Ben.
Oh yeah,
he won't stop.
Yeah, he loves
won't
me
stop
petting him.
trying to get Ben to pet him.
Right. Yeah.
But taking him to the vet office, he doesn't like the vet touching him. The chiropractor that comes out once every 6 or 8 weeks to adjust him, he definitely doesn't like him touching him, right? But he'll tolerate it if I'm there, if I'm supervising. So he's not the kind of dog to let kids jump on the dog, which I don't recommend that anyway. We'll talk about that in general. Hugging him, kids being kids, right? Kids doing kid things, not really suitable for him. So I've learned through the process with my own kids how to deal with a dog like him, and making sure that the kids and the dog understand each other. Both are safe, both don't have any problems. And as my kids have gotten older, they've become more in tune with my dog, because as they mature, they can see things differently, which we'll talk about. Again, this is just my personal experience. So I'm going to be talking about this discussion today from my own experience and from the experience of working with a lot of dog owners that have different kinds of dogs. They're having kids, and there's a lot of considerations that go into that. So that's my personal experience coming into today's discussion. So first of all, let's just talk about understanding your dog. And when I say understanding your dog, I mean, think about it like this. Is your dog a social dog? And when I mean social dog, I mean, does your dog enjoy interactions with other people, interactions with adults, interactions with young kids, interactions with other dogs, other animals? Does your dog enjoy those? Mm-hmm. Does your dog have limitations with those? So a social dog is generally going to enjoy interactions with everybody, everything. And there can be dogs that are humanly social or dog social. There's dogs that might have preferences on, hey, they prefer to interact with other dogs, not really people, or they prefer to interact with people, not other dogs. So these are all things that you look at when you're looking at your own dog. But basically, you're trying to do a self-assessment on your dog. You're trying to be honest. Are there limitations with your dog? Is your dog a social dog? Does your dog have any potential behavioral problems, anxiety, insecurity, dominance? These are going to be your common ones. And if there are behavioral problems, can they be addressed with training? Most of the time they can be, but even with training, there still could potentially be some genetic limitations or personality limitations like my own dog has. Like my own dog, very well trained, but still does not prefer people touching him, doesn't prefer like strangers touching him, doesn't prefer stranger interaction. People that he's familiar with, like Ben, for example, loves interaction, right? People he's not familiar with or, a stranger doesn't prefer interaction. So why would I force that upon him, right? So those are just some things you want to think about when you're trying to understand your dog. You got to really look at it, basically take an outside perspective, right? You might be sitting on the couch with your dog every day, loving on your dog enjoys it, all that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean your dog will enjoy it from a kid if you're planning to have a kid or adopt a kid or anything like that. So you have to take that into consideration. What are your dog's real preferences? Do they have genetic limitations, personality limitations? Are they social? Are they not social? These types of things you want to take into account. So, an anxious dog, they typically are going to show behaviors like pacing around the house. They can't sit still. They're panting a lot. These kind of things. A lot of times that can be addressed with training and implementing self-control with the dog, implementing impulse control with the dog, these types of things. And that's going to help the anxious dog. Insecure dog, they're nervous of things. They're scared of things. They prefer to be in corners and things like that. The things about an insecure dog, if you push them into fight or flight mode, they have the potential to get frustrated or scared and snap at something. So we don't want that happening with a kid. We don't want that happening with a stranger, right? Dominant dog, typically they want things on their terms. They want to try and control things. So you could see how that could be not advantageous when you have kids running around. So in all three of these personality traits, we basically want to teach those dogs self-control, impulse control, and have a structure in place in the home so they understand how the house operates and that you are the pack leader. They should be following you.
Yeah, I mean, sounds good so far.
All right. Once we understand our dog, now we want to have some considerations about kids. We want to understand kids in general. So if you're planning on having kids, you've probably been around kids at some point, whether you're just at a local restaurant and you see the kids screaming at the table next to you and the parents getting upset, whether you're on the airplane, right? You got the kids screaming, the parents getting upset.
Oh yeah, whining on the airplane.
Or you've been at the restaurant where the parents are at the table and the kids are running around the restaurant.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We've all seen that before.
Yeah.
And so, if you haven't had kids, don't judge these different types of parents. I think every parent's trying to do the best they can. Of course, there's a lot of bad situations in the world where kids aren't being taken care of properly, but we're talking about most cases, most people that you see out and about.
Right.
A couple things to think about with regard to children or kids. First of all, kids are smaller. They're not an adult size, obviously.
Right.
Obviously,
yeah. Tater tot.
What's the name of that guy that is like a kid size, but he's actually old? You know what I'm talking about?
A midget?
No, not a midget, but he is small.
Peter Dinklage?
No, it's like a foreign dude. You know what I'm
Foreign
talking about?
guy?
Yeah. Okay, I have to look it up.
I'm thinking the dude from Game of Thrones. Peter
him.
Dinklage.
No, he's good to go.
Yeah.
He's good to go. Game of Thrones, good to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, that guy's funny. I forgot his name.
I got no
He's
idea
like a popular guy.
about.
He's a popular guy. Anyway, so kids are small. They're interpreted differently by dogs, right? Babies are interpreted differently. If you have a dog with a high prey drive, this could be a potential problem because babies make weird noises. They could instigate prey drive. And prey drive are, you could tell if your dog has a high prey drive if they really like chasing things, biting things with their mouth. This is a prey drive behavior, chasing and grabbing things with their mouth. So if a baby makes certain noises, it could stimulate a dog's prey drive because dogs that have prey drive, they might get stimulated by a prey animal. Think of a rabbit screaming.
Right.
You ever heard that on YouTube? Yeah. Well, have you heard it on YouTube?
I mean, on YouTube specifically,
look it
no.
up. Look it up.
Why would I look that up? Rabbit dying. Why would I look that up?
I don't know.
I know you're
Screaming.
watching your hunting videos. Yeah.
But, these noises can instigate prey drive. Also, if you have a high prey drive dog, and kids are developing and getting older, they move rapidly. They can move rapidly.
Yeah.
So that can instigate prey drive. Also, if, you have a dog that wants to be more dominant, a kid does something that triggers that dominance, the dog could try and control that kid, or an insecure dog, like we said. Mm-hmm. So just understand that dogs interpret kids differently than people. I mean, adults, not just people, because kids are people too.
Right.
Dogs are people too.
Yeah.
That's what some people say.
Dogs are people too. Yeah. I guess so.
But just understand they're interpreted differently. Also, we have to understand that children are immature compared to an adult.
Well,
did you know that?
That's up for debate.
Well,
some
kids are pretty mature.
some kids,
adults are very immature.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But in general, kids are going to be immature compared to an adult, which means their energy states are going to be different. They can't always express their emotions like they want to, so they could start yelling, screaming, crying, running around, these kind of things. Again, this could trigger certain dogs. Again, prey drive dogs could get triggered by that. Dominant dogs could get triggered by that. Insecure dogs, all these different types of behavioral traits could get triggered by kids being kids.
Yeah.
And it's not the kid's fault. We have to understand that kids have to develop their ability to express emotions. So obviously, as a parent, we want to try and help our kid do that, but also we don't want any issues between our kids and our dogs as our kids are developing this ability.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of adults that struggle to express their emotions as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of similarities between adults and kids.
So with that being said, as an adult, a dog can help you learn to control yourself because you got to be calm, confident, relaxed. Mm-hmm. They're going to reflect you. If you're an anxious person, your dog might be anxious. So if you want to help resolve that anxiety with your dog, you might have to resolve your own anxiety.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
A little self-improvement.
A couple daily walks are good to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Daily walk, 10-minute walk after you eat, good to go.
Meditation.
Meditation. What do you do for meditation?
Well, depends how you think about it. But if you break down situations without going head first into them.
See, I've tried meditation before, but then I end up falling asleep.
Yeah. I mean, I can't actually meditate. I guess what I mean is like meditating on the situation at hand.
Thinking.
The best course of action.
Thinking about the situation.
Yeah, sure. Thinking.
Also, you know what else helps you resolve anxiety? Weights.
Oh, yeah. The gym's
lifting
great.
weights.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. Good to go, dude.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Yeah, we like to lift.
Especially when you got some buddies in the gym and you're like, lifting. You guys are lifting together.
Yeah.
Then you're like talking about your frustrations between sets. That's your gym therapy right there.
Let a little steam off physically and emotionally.
A lot of steam, right? Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. Understand that kids won't be able to respect dog boundaries until they're older. So as an adult, if you come to my house as an adult, I can communicate to you very easily and verbally my dog's boundaries or boundaries about my dog. Mm-hmm. You should be able to respect that. If not, you might get kicked out.
Yeah.
Right?
Whoa.
A kid, you can't really expect them, if you try to explain to them your dog's boundaries, you can't really expect them to respect that. They're just not mature enough. Right? So, and we'll talk about these situations as we move on. But some dogs might not really have any boundaries, right? A very social dog that's very social, loves everybody, happy-go-lucky dog. There might not be any boundaries with that dog, and the kids can be whatever they want to be around that dog. But you got that dominant dog, right? For example, this kind of dog has boundaries, but you can't expect kids to respect that dog's boundaries, which means you have to implement a management plan that keeps your dog and your kids safe and to develop their own mutual respect with each other. Yeah. Which happens over time. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So just some things to think about kids. If you have kids, you're going to have to change some things with your routines and rituals, your daily routines and rituals, based on your kid's development and what they're trying to do and your dog and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about preparing your dog for a baby coming home. Let's assume that, you're going to have a baby, or you're planning to have a baby. Maybe you're pregnant, maybe you're not. But we've established a baby's coming in the near future.
If you got a baby coming, you're definitely pregnant.
Well, yeah, but if you're like family planning.
If you're the dad.
If you're family planning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what that means?
Yeah.
The family planning?
Yeah.
That means you're practicing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, practice.
You're like, hey, we want to have a baby, so we need to practice having a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So anyway, let's say you're in that situation or you're already pregnant. We already need to start thinking about preparing our dog for the baby coming home. We got 9 months or less. 9 months or less. So some things you want to start thinking about. Number one, you want to start establishing new routines, new boundaries that mimic what you're going to do when the baby is home. You can start that 9 months from your baby coming.
Okay.
Right? So one thing I always recommend, start setting up the house like you're going to have it set up for the baby. Right? So a lot of people are going to introduce bassinets. I know for me personally, we had a bassinet in our room. Our baby would sleep in that next to our bed. You might have a baby room set up with a crib in there, with the things that babies sit in, that make noise, that whatever you call it. I don't remember the names of this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
But like the little baby swings that swing your baby, or little seats that you put your baby in. These things make noise, right? A lot of them have the music that you turn on. They have little things the baby can play with.
Little shakers and all that.
Exactly. So in your living room, you might set up some new things in your living room, like a play mat on the floor, toys on the floor. You might have like a play. I don't know if it's called a play pen. I forgot all the terminology for this stuff, but little play containment system.
Play zone.
Right. Play zone for your baby. Mm-hmm. So start thinking about how you want to set up your house for your baby. And as soon as you get this stuff, start putting it in place, right? You're probably going to have a baby shower. You're probably going to start getting these items. Crib, right? These kind of things. So get it. As soon as you get it, start setting it up. And as soon as you set it up, make sure that your new routines and boundaries start teaching your dog that these things are off limits for your dog. A lot of babies have like little toys, right? Little stuffy animals or toys that make noise. Guess who likes that stuff in general?
Yeah.
Dogs. They want to grab it with their mouth. They want to
eat it.
They want to eat it. They want to paw it. They want to investigate it. You have to communicate to your dog, this is off limits for your dog. Also, another consideration. Your dog, let's say you have toys for your dog.
Yeah.
You got toys for your dogs?
Not really. I got some go nuts.
Okay.
Bones
those are good.
and stuff.
Right, but I go to a lot of people's houses. They got these big baskets full of stuffed animal toys for their dog.
Yeah.
So a dog stuffed animal toy and a kid stuffed animal toy look very similar.
Yeah.
So that's what I call a gray area. It's very hard for your dog to distinguish between the dog toy and the kid toy. So what I recommend for people that I work with is start modifying your dog toys from stuffed animal toys to more of the go nuts or the rubber-based toys, or bully sticks. Start getting away from the stuffed animal toys.
Yeah.
Because you want to keep as clear of a line in your dog's brain about what's a dog toy and what's not a dog toy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So things like Kongs, Go Nuts. Go Nuts have a bunch of variety of, sizes and different designs you can get with them.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Where it's very distinguished, this is a dog toy.
Right.
And we communicate to our dog, no touching baby toys, no touching baby stuff. Right. So if you have like the baby play area in your living room, like a mat that your baby lays on, it's got one of those arch things with things hanging off of it. If your dog's trying to go and mess with that stuff, you got to communicate to your dog that's off limits. Don't touch it. Maintain a boundary away from it. Right.
Yeah.
We do that through our training system. We have our communication in place to where we can communicate to our dog that's off limits. But if you haven't gotten training, you can use a leash to help you do that. I would do remote collar conditioning at a certain point to help you communicate to your dog when they're off leash as well. but you need to establish a boundary. I did a consultation recently where the family was using a spray bottle, right, which I don't necessarily recommend, but it worked for them. So I said, hey, keep using it, right, because it works for them.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, anytime your dog tries to go and mess with your baby stuff, give him a spray, if that works for you,
It's
right?
like a cat.
Right. So again, that's not what I recommend for most people, but for this family that worked, I said, hey, keep doing it, right? Because they haven't gotten training yet. They're considering it, right? But I also told them leashes, these kind of things. So you're establishing the new boundaries, you're establishing the new rules, you're making sure that they are enforced now, because what you don't want is you don't want to bring a baby home and then all of a sudden you got new rules and new boundaries with the baby in the house.
Yeah.
You're preparing your dog for when the baby comes home.
Yeah.
If you're not used to having your dog use a kennel, I would recommend start having them use a kennel, because that's going to be a great management tool for your dog when the baby's home. There might be times where you need to use the kennel with your dog so that your baby can do baby stuff like crawl around or be crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
I know when my kids were babies, we'd put them in these little walking chair things. It was like a chair with wheels on it. They sit in it. They're walking around. They'd grab whatever. They'd hit stuff. Some dogs that might be okay, the dog might get away. Some dogs that might not be okay. So when the baby's walking around this walker, it would be a good time for your dog to be in the kennel, right, to manage them and enable the baby to do baby stuff.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're just establishing these new rules. You're establishing these new boundaries before the baby comes. Just keep in mind, in the future, the baby's going to be the priority. So what that means is the baby's going to need things throughout the day. The baby needs milk.
Right.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
The baby's going to need food. As the baby matures, it's going to need different things. It's going to need diaper changes.
Yeah.
Guess who likes eating baby diapers? Dogs, usually.
Oh.
Right?
Oh,
so,
shoot.
Off limits. You get the diaper genie trash can. That shit's good
Yeah, I
to
was
go.
going to say, get the diaper trash can going on.
These kind of things. So you're setting up everything. When your baby's going to be there, your baby's going to have priority a lot of the time. So start getting the dog used to different routines, right? Go ahead and get a routine down for feeding time if you can. Get a routine down for baby's nap time.
Hey.
If your dog's used to running around the house, barking at stuff, being a dog, baby nap time's not a good time to do that, because you want that baby sleeping.
Yeah.
Especially when mommy and daddy are not getting sleep at nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. Scent items. This is stuff that smells like your baby. So what I recommend a lot of times for people when they're in the hospital, when that baby's been born, grab some of those blankets, grab some of that stuff that has the baby's scent on it. Someone bring it to the house, preferably one of the parents. Before the baby comes home, bring it to the house, carry it around the house like you're holding a baby. Do not let your dogs just get up and sniff it. They don't have to put their nose on it to sniff it. They're going to sniff it with just it being in the house.
They're going to smell it.
They're going to smell it. Right? They don't have to make direct contact with it.
Yeah.
Walk around the house with this blanket, for example. Don't let the dogs make direct contact, because we're having a boundary around the baby. Put it in the bassinet. Put it in the crib. Put it in the play area. And again, don't let the dogs make direct contact with it, so they have that boundary. Right?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Okay? Those are some of the big ticket items for preparing your dog for a baby coming home, right? Big ticket items.
Yeah.
Now, once we got our baby home, we bring our baby home from the hospital. We've already done some of these scent item preparation. We've brought scent items home. Again, communicating to the dog that these things are off limits. Once that baby's home, keep your boundaries very clear. Your dog's going to be curious, most likely.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to make direct contact with your baby. It can observe.
Oh, it's going to be watching.
It's going to be watching. Watching, listening, smelling. Your dog can observe the baby, and you should be observing your dog. How is your dog adjusting to the baby?
Right.
Is your dog maintaining a good boundary? If not, you have to uphold that boundary. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These kind of things. Do not force any interactions with your baby. We see a lot of pictures on the interwebs and the socials.
Videos.
People putting the baby on top of the dog, right? People letting the dog be on top of the baby.
Yeah.
All these are not recommended, even if you have a very social dog.
Yeah.
because we're putting a gray area on that boundary line. The baby should be off limits. Because sure, when your baby comes home, it's basically, a little slug.
Yeah.
It's kind of slugging around. It's
baby
crying
worm.
a little bit, right? It's a baby worm.
Yeah.
It's in the I forgot what you call this stuff, but we used to have these things where we wrap the baby in it. It's like
a swaddle
kind of thing,
Yeah.
And it's like a legit slug in there. It's got no arms and legs. Everything's contained. It's just got the face,
Yeah.
Your baby's just sleeping, eating, pooping, these kind of things. So there's not a lot going on.
Yeah.
But pretty quickly, that baby starts crying more. It starts crawling more, starts getting into things, grabbing things. So again, because we've kept our boundaries clear, we've not forced any interactions when our baby's in that slug mode.
Right.
When they start getting into that metamorphosis and they're moving around a lot.
Transforming.
Right. They're transforming into a wild creature.
Right.
Right. The boundaries are still clear in our dog's head. Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a social dog, and you're hanging out with your baby and your dog's hanging out with you, and you're letting the baby kind of pet your dog, that's cool, But you have to be very clear and understand your own dog like we talked about. Is this a good idea for your dog or not?
Yeah.
If you have a social happy-go-lucky dog, it's probably fine. If you have an insecure dog or a dominant dog, probably not wanting to do that, right? Keep your boundaries clear.
Yeah.
Because as your baby develops and it starts moving more, you want to have that boundary so clear so that your dog knows, hey, don't get close to the baby, and the baby knows, hey, we're not necessarily going to run up to the dog and grab it or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's a boundary for both ways, right? Something to note once you're bringing your baby home, if your dog is acting or behaving abnormally like you've never seen before, just pay attention to that. Try to figure out what's going on. Maybe you need to consult with a professional dog trainer to help you look at some of this behavior. Some dogs, it's like no factor for them to have a baby come home. Some dogs get freaked out. Some dogs are confused. So again, you need to look at your dog and understand what's going on. And like we've talked about in a lot of podcast episodes, just remember what your dog practices now is what they will continue to do. So if they're getting freaked out now, they're not respecting boundaries now, as time goes on, it won't necessarily get better. Could get worse. So you want to address it now. You want to understand what's going on now so that you're good to go in the future.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Makes sense?
Makes sense.
Now, as your kids get older, right, they start off as a baby, obviously. They turn 1. They turn 2. They turn 3. They turn 4. They turn 5. Turn 6. Turn 7.
They grow up.
They're growing up. They're growing up. Like that first, the first birthday party people do.
Yeah.
Cake everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. The baby's grabbing the cake, smushing it on the face and all that. Sloppy. Second birthday party, still pretty sloppy.
Yeah.
3-year-old, not too bad.
Still sloppy.
Halfway sloppy.
Yeah.
Then as they get older, less sloppy, right? So that's how we're gauging their development, right? The sloppiness of the birthday party.
Now, what if you're 21, you're still sloppy?
Hey, that happens sometimes.
You're just a sloppy person.
Yeah, that happens. So as your kids get older, continue to adjust your routines, your rituals, your rules, your boundaries, your protocols. Like we talked about, things are adapting, things are changing. Your dog is highly adaptable. Your kids are adaptable. So as your kids get older, change it up. See what's working for you at that time. Always keep it simple as you can for your dogs and your kids, right? We know that our dogs need physical and mental exercise every day. How can we incorporate our kids into that? I know when my kids were getting to the age where before they were walking, actually, I'd push them in the stroller. I'd have my dog walking with me. I'd just be pushing the stroller for the daily walk, getting the dog and the kid doing the same thing. Once my kids were getting old enough to hold balls, like chuck-it balls, I would have the kid with me holding the chuck-it ball, throw it for the dog, right? The dog brings it back and outs it or lets it go for the kid and me.
Yeah.
So the dog's starting to get an understanding that the kid's involved in things, that the kid is basically a reflection of me, the owner, and the kid's getting an understanding of how to interact with dogs. If you have a kid that is not respecting your dog's boundaries or respecting the rules of how we interact with dogs or the routines for dogs. Again, on the kids' side, that's not going to get better as time goes on. They'll be disrespectful to your dog, but you don't want that.
Yeah.
So a lot of things I did as my kids got older, I would incorporate them on my daily walks, pushing the kid in the stroller, dog walking with us. I would have the kid throw toys for the dog with me, obviously. Not going to let the kid do that without me. I would have the kid help me feed the dogs.
Yeah.
Right? Scoop the food. Take the food bowl to the dog's kennel, feed the dog in the kennel.
Yeah.
These kind of things. Mm-hmm. Simple things that help clear up the boundary, clear up the line, both on the kid side of the house and the dog side of the house, right?
Yeah.
And as my kids got older and developed more, they started becoming more and more involved in this stuff. Mm-hmm. But we kept it simple. Like right now, my 7-year-old, I can hand her a leash to one of my dogs. She can walk the dog by itself. She doesn't have to have me right next to her. Of course, I'm still walking with her, but I'm not right next to her like I used to be. We're not holding the leash together.
Yeah.
Like I can give her the leash. She knows how to heel. She knows how to tell the dog different commands. Now, again, because as kids develop, they have to learn to express their emotion. They have to learn how to communicate properly to the dog. So, for example, when we're doing obedience drills, they might want to repeat commands. Sit, 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 sit. We know that's not good for a dog.
Yeah.
We know that can create a response from the dog where they start ignoring the sit command, at least from the kid, because it's repeated multiple times.
Right.
So teaching the kid how to give commands, we give the command one time. If the dog doesn't do that, what do? I usually don't have kids give any corrections. I give the corrections for the kids. So my kid would just say no, and I would give my dog a correction. This helps my dog learn to respect the child.
Yeah.
Because she's the one giving the commands or the verbal markers.
Mm-hmm.
I would have my kids do eye contact drills.
Oh,
so I'd be standing there with my kid and my dog, and I'd give my kid a piece of food. I'd say, hey, say good and go give it to him, right? And she'd say good, walk up, give him a piece of food, good to go, right? We're creating good relationships, good bonds between the dog and the kid.
Yeah.
So incorporating them as best as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always play it safe. Make sure that you're baby stepping out how you want your kid and dog to interact. Don't just throw them into a situation and let them figure it out together. You always need to kind of be there guiding things and making sure the dog's comfortable and the kid's comfortable. Once you do that, you start building up your respect and trust for the dog with the kid in that situation, right?
Yeah.
So
I like those steps.
Yeah. And I mean, as kids get older, they become teenagers, obviously. They can have more responsibility. But
I start having them pick the poop up outside.
Oh, yeah. Well, they can do that at 3 years old.
Yeah. That's just a chore. That's
make
not
sure they got
bonding.
Make sure they got a poop bag and they're not picking it up barehanded.
Oh, shoot. That's a good point. Picking it up barehanded, put it in the bag.
Right. So just some things to consider. But as your kid gets older, have them get more involved. You're staying involved. Obviously, you're making sure everybody's comfortable, adjusting things as things go on. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, that's kind of the main discussion points of, dogs and kids. These are the big topics, but there is another topic that we need to discuss, which is special case dogs that might have limitations. Mm. So we kind of alluded to it earlier. Limitations might be you have a dominant dog that wants to control certain situations. This kind of dog you definitely want to pay very close attention to with your kid. Still have your kid involved as much as possible, but you've got to be very careful about how you're allowing that dog and kid to interact, because you don't want your dog to think that they need to control the kid in a situation. Yeah. Which also means your dog has to have a very healthy level of respect and trust for you, and you have a very healthy level of respect and trust with your dog. If you don't have that, that's your first priority. Before you get in your dog and kid interacting and doing things, make sure you and your dog are good to go. For example, if you have a dominant dog and you can't walk down the street without your dog reacting at something, you need to fix that, yourself, right?
Yeah.
If you have a problem with your dog, trying to control other dogs in your house, you got to fix that, right? So these kind of things are your main indicators before you let your dog interact with your kid. Yeah. Same thing with an insecure dog. If you have a very insecure dog or a nervous dog, Don't just throw your kid into routines with them. Make sure you and your dog are good to go first. You have a healthy level of mutual respect and trust with your dog. Okay. But let's say we have a dog with limitations, right? We can't just let them roam around the house because there's the potential for there to be a problem between the dog and the kid. Maybe the kid triggers the dog for whatever reason. Maybe it's a prey drive trigger. Maybe it's an insecurity trigger. An insecure dog might be trying to get away from the kid. The kid's chasing it, screaming at it, maybe has a toy or something, waving it at the dog. The dog feels like it's cornered and wants to snap at the kid to keep the kid away, right? That's not the dog's fault. That's our fault as a parent for not properly managing that situation.
Right.
Maybe we have a dominant dog where we're feeding our dog and our kid's walking up to the food bowl or where our dog's eating, and our dog snaps at the kid to try and control the kid from getting close to their food, just as an example. That's our fault as a parent for letting that happen. We need to have better management or better routine in place so these kind of things don't happen. So what I recommend with these dogs with limitations, these special case dogs, implement heavier management. So I already told you guys, I have a dog, he's a dominant dog, where he has to have stricter routine and stricter management when it comes to kids. So some of the things that I've done, first of all, when I realized that he had a limitation with the kids because he, was uncomfortable, wanted to dominate situations, immediately implemented heavier management. So what that meant for us was stricter routine. Dog's going to be in the kennel, right? If he can't be supervised, and I'm the primary supervisor of the dog. So if I'm at work, for example, the dog's going to be in the kennel. Is what it is. Some people feel like that's unfair. It's fair. Make sure your dog has a big enough kennel to have enough room in there to be comfortable. Make sure your dog is comfortable in the kennel. They might need a Primo pad in there or a blanket or something in there.
Yeah.
Right? But because your dog has this potential limitation to where they can't be out freely with the kid or whatever, you have to implement that heavier management. So what I would do is being fair, I have to make sure my dog has mental, physical exercise daily. So what I would do is in the morning, take them out to go to the bathroom, feed my dog in the kennel, have the kid involved in the feeding routine. Once the feeding routine is over, which I feed my dogs at the same time I have breakfast, then whenever we're done, we take a walk, right? 10 to 30 minutes. So take the dog out, take him for a walk. That's the physical exercise. I incorporate the mental exercise on the walk by doing training stuff on the walk, which we've covered in some of our YouTube videos, how you could do that. Once that walk's over, dog goes back in the kennel because I'm going to work.
Yeah.
I do have the benefit of most days being able to have lunch at the house. So after I eat lunch, take the dog out again, another 10 to 30 minute walk. You know me, I like getting my walks in after my meals.
Yeah.
Vertical diet.
Yeah, I know how you roll.
Zone 2.
Yeah.
Zone 2. Anyway, so we do the walk after lunch most days. Some days that's not an option, so my dog's just staying in the kennel.
Yeah.
Again, if I'm taking that walk, that's the mental exercise, doing some training drills during the walk. In the evening, same thing. After dinner, taking another walk, taking more mental, physical exercise, training, having the kid involved in that one, right? So maybe they're walking with me, maybe they're doing training with me, these kind of things. When I'm eating my dinner, the dogs are eating their food in their kennel, so the kids are helping me prepare that food, put it in the kennel, all that type of stuff, right? Now, at the end of the day, when my kids go to bed, they usually go to bed about an hour before I go to bed. So once they go to bed, then the dogs can have free roam in the house, right?
Yeah.
Because now the kids are asleep or they're in bed or whatever. Now the dog has the ability to have free roaming of the house. My kids are at the age where they're going to school now. So when they're at school as well, the dog can have free roam of the house. But we're keeping a very clear line that if the kids are home, the kids get the priority, so the dog's in the kennel, right? Some people think this is a hard management plan or that it's an unfair management plan, and I'm here to tell you it's a fair management plan, and I think you need to do it with a dog that has limitations because you're keeping your dog safe, you're keeping your kids safe, you're keeping the lines very clear with who has respect to what. Now, with that being said, you have to be fair. That's why you have to get in that mental, physical exercise. It has to be deliberate every day enough to satisfy your dog's instinctual needs. Now, let's say it's a weekend day or something like that. I'm home more often. The dog might be out more often under my direct supervision. Maybe they're on a spot in the house if me and the kids are doing stuff in the house. If me and the kids are outside, the dog might be involved with us, right? But because my kids are older now, they have more of an understanding of the dog's boundaries. They know how to interact with the dog, these kind of things. So we've adapted our routines, especially when I'm home, to provide that level of supervision and boundary, right? Excuse me. So those are the main thoughts. If you have a dog, special case scenario with a dog with potential limitations, you might not have to go as extreme as me. You might just have to think about what are your big ticket items throughout the day where your dog has a limitation. Maybe it's just feeding time, so feeding them in the kennel. You know, you might also need to consider where you're placing your kennel. Because if you have your kennel in your living room and your kids are able to run up to the kennel, stick their fingers through there, or if your dog gets triggered with kids walking up to the kennel. Again, my opinion is the kids are the priority, so I would put that dog's kennel in a room where I can close the door and communicate to the kids, hey, don't go in the room, right? That way the dog can feel safe, the dog can feel secure while the kids are doing kids stuff throughout the house.
Yeah.
So lots of things to think about.
Yeah.
If I have my dog out in the house, roaming the house, free roaming the house with my kids out, and there ever is a situation where a dog and kid confront each other for whatever reason, and I can tell the dog is uncomfortable because I have my training, I can tell the dog to come to me. I can tell the dog to go to their spot. I'm basically redirecting the dog out of that situation, and that helps the dog make those decisions on their own in the future, right? So if your dog ever does get uncomfortable, they just remove themselves from the situation. But you got to be careful, because if the dog feels cornered by the kid and they can't remove themselves, that's when there could be a potential problem, right? Yeah. So keep all that in mind when you're trying to build out these special heavy management or stricter routines for your dogs that might have potential limitations. Did you have any questions on that, or questions that someone could have?
No specific questions. I mean, I just think it's, the only question I could say is someone would be like, well, my dog knows Spot. Mm-hmm. Can I use Spot instead of the kennel if you're talking about a special case?
Right. Only consideration for that is, a kid can still go bombard your dog on the spot. So you have to be paying attention to your kid. In my opinion, with these special case dogs, like my own dog, it's just not worth it. Because, kids move pretty quick. They sneak around, they do different stuff. Yeah. And so I'm just going to remove my dog from the situation, keep my dog safe, make my dog feel secure, like they don't need to take action on their own, and let my kid feel like there's nothing that they have to tiptoe around the house for.
Yeah. Well, what if you got a Chihuahua? What if you got a wiener dog?
It doesn't matter what dog you have.
The size of the dog.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what dog, doesn't matter the size, the breed, whatever. If you have a special case dog, you just got to make sure you're managing that properly. Some people, they want to give up their dogs because there's a problem with their dog and their kid or whatever. Me, I don't think that's a good idea. My dog's my dog. I'm going to take responsibility. I just have to change my protocols and my routines to make sure that it suits my dog and my kid, right? Yeah. And go forward from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with everything. I just think I like the feeding routine. I mean, I don't even have kids, but I just, from my past experience with and doing the feeding routine, feeding out of your hand, which, maybe you're not having your kid feed out of your hand initially, but involving them is a good link.
For sure. For sure. And like I said, as your kid develops and gets older, get them more involved. Yeah. Have them do other things. Teach them the training drills you're doing. Teach them the protocols you're doing. Have them involved, but always provide supervision. Yeah. But because your kid is, they're not as mature, they can't think as clearly as you can, they don't understand things at your level, I don't usually have the kids implement corrections until they're much older. Yeah. Teenagers, once they're over 12, I've worked with a lot of families with teenagers that are involved. They seem to be pretty good in general, right? So you got to understand your kid's maturity level and can they make good decisions, because you don't want them overcorrecting your dog in situations. Yeah. So. But anyway, hope you guys took some use out of this conversation. Again, we've done a podcast on dogs. It was called Dogs and Babies a couple years ago, but always good for a refresh new protocols, things to think about, new considerations. And if you have questions, just reach out. We'll be more than happy to help. We help a lot of people set up routines and rituals at their house before they have a baby, when they have a baby, when they have kids, these kind of things. We're always going to recommend training, but like I was telling you earlier, that family that I recently met with using the spray bottle, that works for them. That's their routine.
Yeah.
They haven't gone through training with us. I did a consultation with them. I gave them all the advice I could. And so that's working for them at the current time being. But never play around with this stuff, right? Always play it safe. Keep it simple. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
But if you do need training, if you do need advice, if you do want to talk to us in more detail about this, you can always reach out. Canine Revolution Dog Training. Our email is info@caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. Myself and our trainer, Chris, both have kids. I have 2 kids. He has 2 kids. So we have that direct experience with dogs and kids, right? But all of our trainers know the protocols for dogs and kids. They know how to troubleshoot and help you build a routine and ritual. Again, our email, info@caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. Our phone number is 843-213-2676. We do board and train programs. We do private lessons. We do virtual lessons if you're somewhere else outside of our normal operating area, which is South Carolina. If you're somewhere around the country, we can still support virtually. And also if you're a dog trainer, maybe you're working with a client, maybe you've got a difficult case, maybe you need some coaching, we provide that as well in a virtual format. We also have Canine Revolution apparel. So if you want to support yourself, what you'll do is you'll go to the description below, or you'll just go to Amazon. You'll type in Canine Revolution apparel. You'll get you a Canine Revolution logo shirt. You'll get you a Canine Revolution logo hoodie.
Yeah.
You'll get you a good to go hoodie, good to go shirt, good to go mug,
Good to go.
water bottle. There are some chicken things on there, guinea fowl things on there. So check out Canine Revolution apparel. It's actually October. So you can go on there, get you a nice Pitties.
You know what
shirt.
that means. Nice
Breast Cancer
pitties.
Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And so we're supporting nice
the
pitties.
The pitties.
Right. Supporting nice
For
pitties.
the pitties.
For the pitties. So go on to Canine Revolution apparel. Check it out. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, you can click the link directly from YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And be good to go.
Oh, yeah.
Our next partner, our affiliate, We Feed Raw. Now, remember back when I was talking about having my kids help me prepare my dog's food and feed them? Of course, it's We Feed Raw.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the optimal diet for your dog. And it makes your dog good to go.
That's that good.
Right. If your dog has allergy issues, skin issues, diarrhea, that could typically could be a kibble problem.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to start with, is getting your dog off the kibble, getting them on the raw. And there are budgetary concerns with shifting to a raw food because it's a higher quality food. It's going to cost a little bit more.
Yeah.
The thing about We Feed Raw is they deliver it to your door. But you can go on the WeFeedRaw.com, set you up a meal plan. If the budget constraints are a consideration, you don't need to feed 100% raw. You can feed 50% raw to start. Yeah. You can modify your meal plan as time goes on. If you don't like it, you can just shut it down. Right? Shut down your meal plan, but it's worth trying.
No contract.
Exactly, no contract.
Yeah.
Start and stop at any time.
Yeah.
Use the discount code Canine Revolution, all caps, no spaces. That's going to save you 25% on your meal plan. 25%. Our next affiliate's going to be Canine Super Supplements. So I add this to my raw food actually.
Oh yeah.
And my kids love scooping it. Right.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a powdered supplement for your dog. They've got the puppy formula. They've got the multivitamin, which is going to support your dog's immunity. They've got the joint support. They've got the weight gainer.
Oh, yeah.
So those are the 4 main formulas from Canine Super Supplements. They make a big difference.
The joint support, I got it going.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just say I got it going.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I've noticed it with my own dog. So go to caninesupersupplements.com. There's a link in the description below. Use the discount code Canine Revolution, all caps, no spaces. Try out the joint support at a minimum.
Yeah.
That's the one you want to start with.
Smells good too.
Because the thing is, that joint support formula, you're not going to get that in your dog's normal food.
Yeah.
So you at least want to supplement with that to support your dog's joints, especially as they get older.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
but then you add in the multivitamin, that's your dog's immunity. Add in the puppy formula, even for an adult dog, because that gets you some of those things like goat milk.
Yeah.
Gets that in there, gets that extra boost of nutrients to your dog.
Yeah.
And you're 100% good to go. Use the discount code CanRevolution, all caps, no spaces, 15% off. Check it out. Let us know.
It's in a big bag, too. It's in a big bag.
It's in a big bag.
It's not even, it's not a small quantity.
I get the 3-pounder.
They give you a big bag for the low cost.
Right,
That's all
exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
Even if you're not doing raw food, this is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Canine Super Supplements.
Yeah.
All right, our last affiliate is JockoFuel. This is supporting you. So we talked about We Feed Raw and Canine Super Supplements supporting your dog. JockoFuel is fueling you.
I feel like I got to step in for Chris here and add some sound effects as you're talking about Jocko. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Chris makes crazy noises.
Oh, yeah.
Chris makes crazy noises.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to report the last podcast, I talked about how I ran out the Jocko white tea.
Yeah.
I'm happy to report I got it on deck.
Restock.
And trust me, I was a couple days without the white tea. I was hurt.
You're losing your mind.
The box came in. I was like, thank God. I grabbed 2 tea bags and brewed me up a tea, chugged it, good to go.
He's a double bagger.
Back on the path. I'm a double tea bagger.
He's a double bagger.
But, everybody's on the goes. The energy drink, the Jocko energy drink.
Yeah.
Jocko pre-workout's great, too. If you're going to the gym early in the morning, you need that boost.
That's what I use.
You get the Jocko pre-workout, blue raspberry flavor.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, shit's good.
Oh, that shit's
Shit's
banging.
good. And it's all clean ingredients, too.
Yeah.
Or you get the greens, right? Get that superfood in there. That tastes good, right? So they got lots of options.
The whey protein is what I
Everything
use
you
as well.
need. They got the milk, the cookie and cream milk, bro. That shit's good.
Chocolate peanut
That
butter.
shit's real good. And my wife, she likes the ready-to-drink milk that comes ready-to-drink chocolate.
Yeah.
She just cracks one open, gone, down the hatch.
I've got her a few times with a couple milks in her hands, leaving the house.
So go to JockoFuel.com, get what you need. They have everything you need. Get what you need. They got everything. Creatine, that shit's good.
Which I just saw that Jocko's going into Walmart.
He's in Walmart, dude. He's big time.
Holy shit.
So go to JockoFuel.com. You can get an extra discount if you go to JockoFuel.com. Use the discount code Canine Revolution, all caps, no spaces, 10% off your order, and you'll be freaking on the path.
That's the route you want to go.
So you got your dogs good to go with the We Feed Raw Canine Super Supplements. You've got yourself good to go at optimal performance with the JockoFuel.
Yep.
Now you're ready to get after it, dude.
Yeah.
Now you're ready to get your dog and your kid all trained up.
Yep.
So, and the milk's good for kids too. Milk's good for kids.
Yeah, they love
Get
that.
The milk
it's like
cookie.
chocolate. Just tell them it's chocolate milk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chocolate milk.
Chocolate
milk. They think you said chocolate milk, but you're like chocolate milk. Here we go.
Milk. Oh, chocolate milk.
No factor.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your support. Don't forget, check out the Pack Talk podcast, the Canine Revolution Dog Training YouTube channels. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you like, what you didn't like, how we can support you. Don't forget to rate us and review us on your favorite podcasting platform. If you guys have questions, if you need help, reach out. We're here to support. And until next time, this is Pack Talk Podcast.